Dear Frater Xavier, I want to express my gratitude for the information and mentorship you provide in your Mystery School series. I've established a practice of daily groundings and banishings and have been at it for about a year. I feel like a different person, calm and neutral in the face of people and circumstances that would have thrown me into a tizzy a year ago. By following your instructions and manifesting reality and words of power, I have been able to manifest an iPhone 6, incredibly unlikely computer repairs, and everything from wild snakes approaching me to colored feathers getting in people's hair. As an aside, before I purchased manifesting reality, I drew out your sigil for something weird appearing in your yard in my notes. When you revealed what it was, I looked out my window and sure enough, I had a neon orange tennis ball in my yard. Another quick success story. I performed a honey jar spell when we had a full moon in Taurus near the end of October. I had some reservations because, in California at least, it fell on a Tuesday and I didn't want any negative Mars aspects involved. The next day, someone who has owed me money for over a year paid me $1,358. Less than 2 weeks later, I was visiting a friend, and after a series of seemingly random events, found myself eating Mexican food in a card club at 5 a.m. I don't gamble, but my friend won $5,500, and in the spirit of Jupiter gave me $600, the exact amount I had requested in my petition. Just a few minutes ago, I invested some of that money into your Secrets of Wealth program. I am looking forward to having more success and wish even greater success for you. Thank you for leading by example and sharing what you know. It is my pleasure and honor. This is why I do what I do, to empower people. Because once you know these things, how can you ever feel helpless again? How can you ever feel afraid of your circumstances again? When you know you always have a course of action and can take control of your reality. It's empowering. This is a guy who said that a year ago, circumstances and things that go wrong would throw him into a tizzy. And now he's able to remain calm, and he can take action and do something about them. And now he's manifesting all kinds of things. And all he's done is take action and stuck with it. He didn't just try something one time. No, he's done daily banishings and groundings and has created sigils for many things. And he's stuck with it. That year is going to pass anyway. And people think a year's a long time. But it's really not. I mean, this channel is going on 3 years next month. And it seems like only yesterday that I started it. The time's going to go by anyway, and it goes by quicker than you think. And if you take action and you stick with it, you're going to get the results. So excellent job, and thank you for writing in. Your email absolutely made my day when I read it. And keep up the great work, as I have no doubt that you'll do, because after a year, I'm sure your daily exercises have now become a habit. And you've now gotten the Secrets of Wealth program, so your success is even going to be greater in the coming year. But what I wanted to talk about today is why some people aren't getting the results and what it is that's holding them back. So let's get into it. Alright, as I said I was going to do, I went back and I checked on our buddy George. You remember George? He was having a lot of difficulty, but had a lot of courage, and by starting to take action, was actually beginning to see some results when he started doing the opposite of what he would normally do, and had displayed a lot of courage in doing that. But as I went to check on him, he has since stagnated and is right back where he started. In fact, he may be even worse off than he was. And this is not surprising to me. This is to be expected, actually. So I thought that we would discuss why our buddy George and others like him, because I'm not singling him out. He just happens to represent most people. You know, they try something once and then think that it's not working out and don't continue. Whereas the testimonial at the beginning of this video, you know, the guy stuck in there for over a year now and is having phenomenal results. But why is it that some people just can't hang in there? And they wonder, what's wrong with me? And there's nothing wrong with them. They're operating exactly as they're programmed. You see, because we're all creatures of habit. And just sitting there, not knowing what to do, not taking action, is just as much of a habit and an addiction as any drug or alcohol abuse. And this is what people don't realize. Your habits are your programming. The subconscious mind rules all habits. Everything that you don't think about. It's your default programming. And so the only way to change yourself is to change your programming. Your habits will dictate what you do. Oh, I wanted to continue doing it, but I just couldn't get myself to do it. This is your subconscious programming. These are your habits. I didn't feel like getting off my ass today. Well, the subconscious mind rules how you feel. It rules your moods. Habits are synonymous with addiction. So I want to tell you exactly about what I mean by that. I had one viewer ask me how I quit smoking cigarettes. And the answer to that is from vaping, which, on a side note, if you were thinking about quitting smoking, now is the time to get into vaping because they're wanting to make it illegal. And you may not have that option in another year or two. Now, most people equate the habit of smoking to nicotine addiction. And that is a part of it. You do physically become addicted to nicotine. However, that's not what keeps people smoking. The nicotine is more of an excuse of why they continue to smoke. Because there's plenty of nicotine products on the market. There's nicotine patches, there's nicotine gum, there's e-cigarettes and vaping. It's not the nicotine, it's the habit. Case in point. When I would smoke cigarettes, I would either go outside or in the garage. I would not smoke in the house. I did that once in an apartment I lived in, and it destroyed everything. So when I started vaping, I was still getting the nicotine, but I would have this urge to have to go outside or in the garage. I would find myself walking that way, out of habit. A habit that I established by repetition. When you do something enough times, it will program a habit. That part of it is harder to break than nicotine addiction. The habit itself of going out to the garage was an addiction. Even though I could vape in the house, I would still find myself going out to the garage in order to satisfy that part of the habit, that part of the addiction. The reason vaping has a higher success rate than a lot of other nicotine cessation methods is because you have something to do with your hands and you're putting something up to your mouth to draw off of, to satisfy that habit that you've established by putting a cigarette in your hands and up to your mouth. That's what keeps people smoking. The nicotine, not so much. The nicotine just gets blamed. Now, it is addictive. Nicotine is addictive, like I said, but there's plenty of products on the market to take care of that aspect of it. No, the real difficulty is in the habit of smoking itself and those triggers that would activate the programming of those habits that would make you go have a cigarette. It's simply activating and running that subconscious programming. Now, by knowing that, you can easily see how someone can be addicted to their train of thought. People can become addicted to depression, feeling sorry for themselves, indecision, anything that they've done enough times to form a habit. And this is the true reason of what keeps people where they're at and unable to move forward and get the results that they really want. This is also why we do magic. The majority of magic is in reprogramming the subconscious mind and giving it instructions on what to fulfill. I don't even like the term magic because it implies that, well, things just happened and it's all mystical and just appeared out of nowhere and it's magic. When, if you know how it works, there's nothing mystical about it. It's simply utilizing your subconscious programming to work for you instead of against you. And you say, well, what about spirits and deities? Well, their access point is through the subconscious. And I'm not entirely convinced that they're separate from it anyway. And so the results may seem like magic, but we know that you've hacked into your subconscious programming and changed the program, or gave it another set of instructions to carry out. And if you're not addressing the problem at its root, you're always going to have the problem. And you're not going to be able to just do things once, address it one time. You have to stick with it. You have to establish new patterns of thought, new habits. And even then you're going to have several months of crap coming your way from your actions beforehand. You're still going to be manifesting into your life that which you have put into your subconscious before. And so you're going to have to tough it out and stick with it, knowing that that's simply part of the process. And say, all right, I got 3 months more of, crap coming my way from me being so negative over the past 3 months. I mean, you can either cry about it and feel sorry for yourself, or continue to take action and do something about it. And that's the choice we all have. When we talk about pessimism and optimism, either you see the glass half full or half empty. That's not just a pep talk. That is the way we all are in this dualistic world. And it's how you see the glass as half full or half empty that's going to determine how things happen for you. If your mindset views things as negative, you are going to get negative results. If you view things as positive, you're going to have positive results. The subconscious does not care which. It's only going to manifest the things that you focus on. And if you sit there and focus upon all the bad things in your life, you're going to get more bad things in your life. So you need to stay focused upon the good things that you have in life. What are you grateful for? What are the things you're taking for granted? Now, I saw that George started reading Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, and that's excellent. I recommend that book to everyone. And he was reading a part where Napoleon Hill was talking about gratitude and how to be grateful for the things that you have. And that's when George realized that he was guilty of not doing that. And that's progress. That's a big part of the equation. Gratitude. Because there's always going to be somebody that has it worse than you. Tell me how bad you have it, and there's always going to be a kid laying somewhere in a hospital with terminal cancer, which will make your problems seem completely insignificant. He realized that he's in a warm house with a roof over his head while it's freezing outside. He's got food in the fridge, and yet he's sitting there complaining about living at home with his parents. And this is something that we're all guilty of. We're all guilty of taking things for granted. But if we take stock in what we have, we'll find out that we're richer than we think. How can we ever expect more if we don't appreciate that which we already have? This is just universal law. And so gratitude is a huge part of it. And it will help get you through that process of changing your habits, of altering the programming. We do so by repetition, using symbolism. That's what we do in occult magic. And visualization. We use visualization as if things are happening in the moment, because the subconscious cannot tell the difference between what's real and what's imagined. That's the reason we use it. It cannot tell the difference between what's real and what's imagined. You'll hear Bob Proctor talk about that. It's another way of communicating with the subconscious through the use of imagery, the imagery that we visualize using our imagination. You have the keys to your success and freedom right there. You know, the guy who sent in his testimonial at the beginning of this video is going to find after a while that he just does not resonate with those people who bitch and complain about everything all the time. As magicians, we have a hard time relating to that, other than to know how we used to be. But you try to tell people how easy it is to change their circumstances, and they look at you like you're some kind of alien. And they may even find a way to bitch and complain about that. And we end up removing ourselves from those type of people. They are addicted to their suffering, out of habit. And I realize this. This is why I do what I do. Because I have this gift of being able to break it down and explain it to people in an easy to understand, logical way. But you can only lead a horse to water, you can't make them drink. On Iron Maiden's new album, The Book of Souls, there's a song, The Red and the Black, and there's this one lyric in there, people don't want the truth, look in their eyes and you send them away. And I completely understand that. That's probably my favorite lyric on that whole album, because most people don't want to know the truth. They have no intention on changing. They're only addicted to their misery and pain, and because we're expressive beings, that's what they express, by complaining. And that expression brings them more misery and suffering, which fulfills their addiction, their habit, their programming. It's not their fault. They didn't purposely, program themselves to be like that. That wasn't their original intent. A lot of the subconscious programming is from childhood, and they have no responsibility for that. Let's see, you can't tell people what to do. You have to lead by example. And those that are actually interested in changing their circumstances will follow and take the steps that you took to change. So you can't tell people to change. You have to be the change that you wish to see in the world. And those with the sincere desire to change will follow and take the steps necessary to change. Just telling people isn't going to break their habits and addictions. It's not going to get through that subconscious programming. It's a waste of time. So I can sit here and I can tell you exactly how to do it, but it's up to you to do it. Whether you do or not, is on you, and will be a reflection of your desire to change. Do you really want to change, or are you just running your program trying to get a fix? You can buy all my programs, and which I certainly appreciate. I'm grateful for it. But if you don't put the knowledge into action, it's not going to do you any good. Nothing's going to change. If you take the time to do the simple things that I include in the programs, in a year's time, you'll be like the guy at the beginning of this video, who's starting to have all kinds of success and isn't freaking out anymore when life decides to throw him a bit of a challenge. Or you can just sit there, run your subconscious programming the way it is, and be in the exact same place this time next year, or even worse, because things tend to go in spirals, either downward or upward. And you have to do it regardless of how you feel. The subconscious is going to rebel on you a lot of times when you try to alter the programming, because it's trying to safeguard the programming. You also have to get out of your head and stop analyzing things so much, because your mind is the enemy right now. If you went by your analysis and the way you think of things before, you'd be getting the results. But it's obviously not working out for you. And these habits of thought are simply part of the programming. My advice is always the same. Just do the work and put as little thought into it as possible. Don't sit there and mull over it in your mind. You keep things from manifesting that way anyway. Don't worry about the how, the where, the when, How's it going to manifest? When's it going to manifest? When are things going to get better? That's not really your job. That's the job of the subconscious. Let the programming take care of that part of it. Allow it to surprise you. When I do a sigil, I'm not concerned with how it's going to happen or when it's going to happen. I just know that it will. And I'm not worried about it. That part isn't my job. I get people asking me, well, how long will things take to manifest? Well, it depends on how long you're holding on to it. If you have faith that the subconscious will do its job, and you're not concerned with it, and you're not thinking about it all the time, it's going to manifest quicker. If they don't manifest right away, you still have to stick with it. The testimonial at the beginning of this video, he's been working on it for a year. And slowly but surely, he's beginning to get the results that he wants. And you have to put in the time. You have to put in the time, effort, and action. And have faith that the subconscious will do its job. It does all the heavy lifting. He wasn't expecting his friend to hand him $600, the exact amount that he had asked for. He wasn't concerned with the how, the where, the when. So when you know that you can implant an instruction into the subconscious mind and reprogram those habits and ways of thinking, it's like literally being handed a checkbook filled with blank checks for you to fill out. You can cash as much as you want. And when you know this, when you really know this, you really can't help but to see people who are just complaining and bitching as a rather silly child. Because we know that they're not really helpless. They're just addicted and being silly. Even though at one point we were exactly where they were. If you only knew how easy it is, you'll wonder exactly why it is you wasted all that time and energy running those habitual programs that are doing nothing for you. So begin today to develop the programming that you want, the habits that you wish you had. Put away the silliness. There really is no excuse. You get what you focus on. It's that simple. If you focus on your misery and pain, you're going to get more of that. Trust the process, not your opinions and feelings. They can't be trusted right now. They're part of that addiction, part of that programming. They've been programmed to come up with a million excuses when there really is no excuse. When an excuse pops up, deny, banish, and reject it. Get in the habit of rejecting those negative thoughts and feelings. There's nothing wrong with you. You're simply executing those subconscious programs. And so the solution is to develop and run new programs to replace the old programming. And you too can begin to have the life that you've always wanted. And I think that will do it for today. Now again, this isn't just for George. This is for any of you that are having problems moving forward. And so I felt I really needed to break down what magic really is and why we use it. It always seems so magical, but once I've explained it, you can see how it just is simply altering your programming. I'd like to thank and wish everyone a safe and happy holiday. I know that I have given 15% off the new Fire and Water program to previous customers. And in the spirit of Thanksgiving, I'm also going to be extending that 15% off to everyone across all of my programs. Words of Power, Secrets of Wealth, Manifesting Reality, and yes, Fire and Water. From now through Black Friday, simply use the code THANKS when ordering to apply the discount. I also want to mention that I am on Twitter now, so you can follow me at Frater Xavier on Twitter. I keep forgetting myself because I haven't done it enough times to make it a habit, which is something that I'm working on developing. The process doesn't end. It's all about establishing new habits and replacing the existing ones. And so links are in the description, and I will see you all next time. Take care.